So welcome to the AutoCAD 2018 and 2019 course, and you can start by downloading all the lesson files which are required in this course from this video. So you can just go to the downloads of this video and get your lesson files. Now these lesson files contain the DWG files, the images and all the other related files which are needed for this course, and all of those files are mentioned right inside the videos. This course is made with both 2018 and 2019 version of AutoCAD, and 2018 version is primarily used throughout the course because there is hardly any difference between both the versions except some cosmetic changes on the ribbon and some of the changes on the icons and some tool sets. So although there is some changes on the user interface and the icons, still functionally both the versions are exactly the same without any changes. There are, however, some new features added in AutoCAD 2019 version, which I have included in a separate module, and you can see all the updated and new features of AutoCAD 2019 version in that module at the end of the course. This course assumes that you know nothing about AutoCAD and teaches everything right from scratch. So even if you are completely new to AutoCAD, this course will help you in understanding the software right from the beginning. If you have any questions, just drop it in the Q&A section and I'll get back to you with answers as soon as possible. And after finishing this course 100%, you'll also get your certificate of completion automatically. So this will be sent automatically to you. You don't need to manually do anything to get the certificate. Just finish the course and you'll get your certificate of completion. So let's get started with the first lesson. When you start AutoCAD, you'll reach this start screen on which you can see this get started column on which we have some frequently accessible tools, like we can open the files, open a sheet set, we can get more templates online, or we can explore some sample drawings. Also, we can open a drawing using some predefined templates from this drop down list, or we can directly use this start drawing box to open the drawing with the default template. On this column, you'll see some of the recently opened drawings, and you can change the preview of these drawings using these small tabs. So you can change it to big thumbnails, or you can change it to the list view like this. You can also pin some of these drawings for their frequent access. For example, you can pin this 1.2 drawing. Also, let's pin this 1.4 drawing. So now, even when you open more drawings, these two drawings will always remain in the list and on the top of this list also. Also, we have some notifications related to our drawing. And here I'm connected to my A360 account that you can see here, my name and the email ID. You can log in if you're not connected here. And also you can see the ID at this point here. So now let's click on this push pin to remove it from our drawings. And now let's select this learn tab. And now we have some videos which can be used for learning about the new features or some of the content related to the AutoCAD. Also, we have here the latest video from Autodesk and also some learning tips and other online resources that you can access. So I'll get back to this create tab and I'll start the drawing from this start drawing option. And here we are in the main drawing area. So now this main window of AutoCAD is divided into a couple of parts. Here we have this ribbon panel, and this ribbon panel is divided into different tabs. Here we have this home tab, the insert tab, annotate, parametric, and so on. Also, these tabs are divided into different panels. We have the draw panel, modify, annotation, and other panels. We can expand these panels to access additional tools, and also you can click on this push pin to make these panels sticky here. So even after removing the cursor, these panels will remain expanded. And if you select this push pin option again, when you remove the cursor, the panels will collapse. You can also move these panels. So you can click anywhere in this panel here and drag it outside if you want to move it, just like this. And we don't have the draw panel here. Now we have it here. And if you want to take it back to the home tab, just click on this small icon that will return it to its rightful place. Currently, all of the panels are not visible in the drawing area, and it will depend upon the resolution of your monitor. And if you want to show or hide some of the panels, you can simply right click on this blank area, and from here you can select the panels. So go to this show panels and select the panels which are not checked. In this case, we have all the panels checked. So let's say that we want to hide utilities panel. So I'll click on this utilities, and now we don't have that panel here. Now I'll go to this blank side again, right click, select show panels, select the utilities, and now we have the utilities panel. In a similar way, you can also bring or hide tabs here. For example, we have home, insert, annotate, parametric, but we don't have 3D tools or visualize. So let's click on this visualize, and now we have this visualize tab here. In order to hide this, right click on the empty space on any tab and select this visualize option again. And now we don't have it here. We also have here command line, and all the commands that you will enter will appear here. You can expand this command line by clicking on the boundary of this command line and expanding it like this. So it will keep a record of all the commands that you will enter, and you can always collapse it to its original position like this. You can hide this command just by clicking on this close icon. And if you want to bring it back, simply press Ctrl 9 key to bring it back. You can also hide it using the Ctrl 9 key. So I'll bring it back again in the drawing area. We can also hide multiple elements from the drawing area. So here we have this file tab. We have here the model tab and also these layout tabs. So you can hide these tabs. Also we have here this navigation panel, and we have the view cube. So in order to remove or bring these visual elements, you can go to the view tab, and from here select the corresponding option. For example, we have here file tabs. Just uncheck this option to remove the file tabs. Also, if you want to remove the layout tabs which are here, click on this layout tabs, and we don't have that layout tab anymore. We can bring it back by clicking on these options. Similarly, you can click on the UCS icon, view cube, or navigation bar to toggle their visibility. For example, here we don't have the navigation bar anymore, and we also don't have the view cube. Now after turning this off, and we can turn off UCS also. So let's click on these icons again to bring them back in the drawing area. On the top left, we have this quick access toolbar on which we can place some of the tools which are frequently accessed. So we have the save as, print, undo, redo, and also the new and open. In case you want to add more tools to this, you can click on this down pointing arrow and select the corresponding option from this list. So let's say that we want to add this properties or the workspace option. So you can click on this workspace, and here we have it now. You can also add layers option from this AutoCAD 2018 version onwards. So this is a new addition in the AutoCAD 2018 version. You can add the layer drop down now on the quick access toolbar. So I'll just turn off this layer as well as the workspace. You can also search for commands from this application menu. So click on this application menu or the application button, and here you'll see a field. Now let's say that you want to locate a command on the UI of this AutoCAD. So for that you just need to type its name. So I'll type the name of the circle command, and now here we have the results. So in the first result we have it on home tab. As you can see here, the circle command is on home tab, draw panel, and the circle flyout. So let's check it. So here we have home tab, draw panel, and circle flyout. And here we have the result. So you can locate any command from AutoCAD on its UI or the user interface easily using that search field. And if you want to know more about any command, you can use this help field also. So from this help, you can access more information about any command in AutoCAD, but you need to be connected to the internet in order to access this help. Or you can also download the help file for offline use using this drop down. So click on this drop down and select this download offline help and install the offline help files. So this was all about the user interface of AutoCAD. In the next video, I'll tell you about the navigation tools in AutoCAD. So now let's have a look at some of the navigation tools available in AutoCAD. So in AutoCAD, you need to use a 3-button mouse with left click, right click and a scroll wheel for accessing the navigation tools. And in order to select or in order to activate any command, you need to select it from the corresponding tab and panel. So simply go to that command and left click, and the command will now be activated. And once the command is active, you'll notice that its name and also the instruction will be visible on the command line, and also the cursor will change into this point selection cursor or into a pick box, which is similar to this. So when you select the corresponding command, it will return to this either pick box or a point selection cursor, and also the name of command will be active. In order to exit this, simply press the escape key. You can press escape multiple times also if you want, so that will not make any change to the drawing. And now in order to zoom in and zoom out from the drawing, you simply need to rotate the mouse wheel. So here we have these three objects. Let's say that we want to zoom into this area of the drawing on the lower left of this rectangle. For that, simply bring your cursor to the lower left of this rectangle and now rotate the mouse wheel. And when you rotate the mouse wheel, it will zoom in, and when you rotate it in the opposite side, it will zoom out, and the center of zoom will be the point where you put your cursor. So in this case, if I move my cursor to the top of this triangle, it will take this point as the center of zoom, and we can zoom in and zoom out like this. In order to pan this drawing or move this drawing in the drawing area, simply press and hold the mouse key, and the cursor will change into this hand, and now you can move it in the drawing area like this. You can also access these navigation tools directly from the navigation bar. So here we have this pan tool. Simply select it. Now you'll be able to move it or pan it in the drawing. And in order to use the zoom tools, simply select this small arrow right under the zoom extents tool, and we have multiple options for zoom. So you can select any of these options. For example, in this case, the zoom extents is selected as default. So if you select zoom extents, the drawing will fit completely in the area provided. So wherever our drawing is, it hardly matters. When you select the zoom extent, it will fit in provided space. Also, we have some other options like this zoom window, which can be used for zooming on a particular object. For example, in this case, let's say that we want to zoom into this circle. Simply make a window around the circle, and the circle will be brought into perspective. It will be zoomed in the current workspace. We also have some other options like zoom previous, that will return to the previous state of zoom, and also one of the option here, this zoom object. So select the zoom object, click on the object, and that object will be brought in the complete area of the drawing. In a similar way, you can also access all of these options according to your requirement or the requirement of a specific drawing. We can also access the 3D orbit tool, and using the 3D orbit tool, you can see this drawing from X, Y, and Z axis. So currently we are able to see this drawing from X and Y axis or from the top view only, that you can see here with the top view. But in order to see it from the 3 axis, or if you want to see the height of this drawing as well, simply go to this orbit tool from the navigation bar, select the orbit tool, and now orbit your drawing just like this. And now you'll notice that the triangle is actually a 3D shape with a certain height here also. So you can orbit the drawing to see it. We also have another orbit option, which is free orbit, that is useful for viewing our drawing more freely in different axes, and you learn about these tools in much better way in our 3D course. So let's press escape key, and now if you want to access the same tool using the mouse, you can do that as well. Simply press and hold shift key, then press the mouse wheel, and now instead of pan, that will convert it into this orbit tool, and now you can orbit the drawing in the free space. In order to return back to the original condition, simply click on the top of this view cube, and here we have it, the default configuration. Although the angle is not correct, that we can also correct using this small arrow here. So in this way we can navigate in our AutoCAD drawings. AutoCAD uses the very popular Cartesian coordinate system for making the drawings. And in Cartesian coordinate system, we have x, y, and z axis. Here we have this x-axis represented with a red line, the y-axis represented with a green line, and we also have a z-axis which we cannot see because we're in the 2D plane. The z-axis is pointing outwards from the screen right now. Now, all the points in this Cartesian system are measured from this point, which is the intersection of x and y axis, or the intersection of x, y, and z axis in 3D, and that point is taken as 0, 0, 0, and each 0 represents the x, y, and z axis respectively. Now if you talk about 2D coordinate system, we only have x and y axis. So the first coordinate point will be the x-axis and the second coordinate point will be y-axis as shown here. Now if you could see the grids in this drawing area, you'll notice that I have divided this complete block into 10 grids in horizontal direction. So we have these 10 grids in the horizontal and 10 in vertical direction, and the size of each block of this grid is 1 by 1 unit. So the length and width of this block is 1 unit in each direction, and the size of this big block is 10 units in length and 10 units in width or height. Now in order to find the coordinate of any point with respect to the origin, all we have to do is find out its x and y values. So let's say that we want to find out the coordinates of this point. So all we need to do is count the number of x blocks and then number of y blocks. So in this case we have number of x blocks as 10. So after 10 blocks we can make a line that will intersect this point. Now after 10 blocks along y direction, if we make a line, it will also intersect the same point. So the coordinate of this point is x10, y10, and that will be 10, 10. Now similarly in this case we have this point, and the coordinates of this point will be 10 in x-axis, because after 10 blocks along x-axis we have this point here, and the y coordinate of this point will be 4 because after 4 blocks we have this point. So the coordinate value of this point will be 10, 4. Now that's the simple Cartesian coordinate system. Now if you want to use the polar coordinate system, then you can do that as well, and I have made a geometry here. Now this line starts from the origin and the length of this line is 10 units. This line is also inclined to an angle of 30 degrees. So if you don't want to specify the end point of this line in terms of Cartesian coordinate system and you want to specify it in other units, which is the polar coordinate system, then you need to represent the values as the length of line and the angle included here. So that will be the length, which is 10 units, and then the angle, which is 30. So this will be the value in polar coordinate system. So now we can represent this endpoint in terms of polar coordinates using this coordinate value, and we'll learn about this later on in this complete course. So now here we have a completely blank drawing area. So in the current drawing area, we don't know the extent of dimensions. For example, if you make a line of length 10 units in this drawing area, we don't know how long it will be. So in order to set that limit, we can use the limits command. So type limits and press enter. So now this will prompt you to specify the lower left corner, which is 0, 0 in this case. So simply type 0, 0, or you can directly press enter, because the values in this angle bracket is the default value that will be accepted if you directly press enter. So you can also directly press enter. So I'll now press enter, and now you'll notice the upper right corner value, and the upper right corner value is simply the values of coordinate on this corner. So you can see that the lower left corner values are 0, 0, and the upper right corner values are 420, 297. That means the length of this screen should be 420 units and the height should be 297 units, whatever the unit of current drawing is. But that's not always the case. In this case, the height is obviously 297, but depending upon the aspect ratio or the screen resolution or the size of screen, your length may differ. So obviously we know that the length of upper right corner is 297. So if you want to accept the value, simply press enter, and if you want to change these values, you can do so by entering the new value. So I'll type 100, 60, and now press enter. So now we know that the height should be equal to 60 unit, and depending upon that height, the length will adjust automatically. But before checking that, we need to ensure that the settings are applied, and the settings can be applied by using zoom all command. So type Z for zoom, press enter, and then type A and press enter. Now the settings are applied. So let's make a simple line. I'll go to this line command, and we'll learn about this line command later on in the next module. And now click at a point somewhere close to this bottom point, and now make a straight line of length 60 units and press enter. And you'll notice that the length of this line is equal to 60 units, which we have already set in the limits. So now we know the limit of this current screen, which is 60 by almost 100 or 120. Now we also need to know the unit of the current drawing, and for that you can check the display unit by clicking this application button, selecting the drawing utilities, and from here select the units. So now you can see the display unit or the units which will be displayed in the drawing area from this window. So right now the length has decimal type here, which you can change to architectural. If you want to see it in feet and inches, you can see the sample output here, and I'll change it to decimal again. Now here we have the precision. So currently the precision is set to 4 decimal places. You can change it to 2, 3, or whatever value you want. So this will not change the actual precision, but it will only change the precision of the values which are displayed on the screen. So I'm changing the precision to 2 places, and now the insertion scale, which will be the scale of external geometries which are inserted. It's set to mm. You can change it to any of these units, whichever you want. So you can change it to inches, you can change it to feet or something else. So I'll keep it at mm. And here we have the angle type, which is set to decimal degrees. You can also change it to degree, minute, second, grades, radians, or surveyor units. And here also we have the precision, which I'll change to 2 decimal places. If you want to reverse the direction of positive angle, you can click on this clockwise checkbox. So the anti-clockwise direction is generally taken as positive in AutoCAD, but if you want to reverse that, you can click on this checkbox to make clockwise direction as positive. So I'll keep it unchecked, and now I'll click on OK. So we have set the display unit for this drawing as well. We have also set the limits. In the next lesson, we will learn about saving these settings as a template file. So now we have defined the units as well as the limits in our drawing. We will save these settings as a template. But before saving the settings as a template, we'll change some of the parameters on the status bar of our drawing, because these parameters are really very useful, and we'll learn about these tools and these status bar toggles in the upcoming modules. For now, we'll simply keep a simple kind of setting that can be used in the upcoming lessons. So make sure that this grid display is off, although you can keep it on. If you keep it on, it will show this grid, but if it is visible, just keep it off. Also, this snap mode should be off. So that's a very important option. This should be off, and when it is off, it will show like this gray icon. So all of these icons will show like these gray icons. So if it is off, it will show like this gray. Now this grid snap both should be off. Also make sure that this dynamic input is off. So in your case, you may not be able to see this kind of tool, the dynamic input tool, and if it is not visible on your status bar, then go to the customization on the far right and select dynamic input. So keep this option checked. So right now we have a lot of different options here, and only the options which are checked will show up on the status bar. So make sure dynamic input is checked, and once it is checked, it will show up here on the status bar, but now unchecked from the status bar. If it is checked, it will show like this blue icon. Just make sure it is unchecked. Also, we have the ortho as well as the polar tracking. So make sure this polar tracking is on. not this auto. So right now all of these options should be off except this polar tracking. Only this should be on. Also make sure that this object snap should be on and object snap tracking should be on. So we are keeping only 3 options: polar, object snap tracking, object snap. So these 3 options should be on. Rest of the options can be kept off. So you can just deactivate all the remaining options, but make sure only these 3 options are on, because these are the settings that we will use for the remaining drawings. Now, since we have already set our limits and units, we'll save that as well as this status bar setting as a template. Now to save it as a template, go to this application button and select save as. Now drawing template. Now this will open the default template folder, which is located deep within the installation directory. You can see that it is deep within that C drive and the installation directory, but you can save it at your desired location. So in this case, I'll save it on the desktop. So I'll go to desktop and I'll give it a name, sample template in this case, and look at this, we are saving this as a DWT file, not as a DWG file. So the template has this DWT extension. Now click on save and it will prompt you for the description. If you want to add that, go ahead, do that, else click on OK. Now that template is saved on the desktop. If you want to open a new drawing with the template which you just created, you can go to this new icon and it will open this template folder. Then click on desktop, locate the template, click on open, and once again it will open your drawing with all those default settings on the status bar as well as in the background like units and limits.